story of a woman who escaped one predator, walked into a shelter designed to protect her, and met the next one waiting in the lobby. Esther Estepa talked to her mother every single day. WhatsApp messages, phone calls, video chats. It didn't matter where in Spain she was traveling. That was their rhythm. So when Esther's mother, Pepa, received a string of strange texts on August 23, 2023, she knew immediately. Something was wrong. The messages said Esther was leaving Spain, moving to Buenos Aires with friends, starting a new life. But Pepa knew her daughter didn't have friends in Buenos Aires. And she knew Esther would never just vanish without a conversation. When she tried calling back, the phone was off. Within days, Pepa reported her daughter missing. Esther was 42, free-spirited, adventurous, the kind of person who lit up a room without trying. She and her sister Raquel had grown up in Seville in a close, loving family. But as an adult, Esther's life had taken harder turns. In 2022, she left an abusive relationship. It took everything she had. After she got out, she moved between women's shelters across Spain, trying to rebuild. By the summer of 2023, she was staying at a shelter in Alicante, still finding her footing, still healing. That's where she met a man who seemed safe, an older traveler, soft-spoken. He made TikTok videos about hiking across the Spanish countryside. Thousands of followers watched him walk through sunlit trails, offering quiet reflections about life and freedom. His name was José Jurado Montilla. Online, he called himself Dinamita, and he seemed like exactly the kind of harmless, gentle soul a woman trying to start over might trust. In late August, Esther and Montilla set off together on a hiking trip along the coast. They walked nearly 40 kilometers in a single day, from Denaya to Gandia. But Esther's leg was badly hurting. Montilla called an ambulance. She was taken to a medical center in Gandia and treated. She was discharged early on the morning of August 23rd, and then she disappeared. What her family received that evening were those strange WhatsApp messages, apologies, claims about Argentina, a tone that didn't sound like Esther at all. Her sister Raquel read the texts and said the same thing their mother felt. That wasn't Esther writing. But here's where the story turns in a direction no one expected. A few weeks after the family reported Esther missing, they got a phone call. A friendly older man. He said his name was Jose and that he'd been traveling with Esther before she vanished. He wanted to help. He asked about the investigation. He called again and again. Then he went further. He started posting TikTok videos about Esther's disappearance. He re-walked the same trails they had hiked together, narrating for his followers, urging people to look for her. He even claimed a woman had come forward, saying she'd spotted Esther. To anyone watching, it looked like a concerned friend doing everything he could. But to Esther's family, something felt deeply wrong. Why was this man so eager to stay involved? Why did he keep calling? And why did his story about dropping Esther at a hospital and never seeing her again not quite hold together? Pepa started digging. What she found changed everything. The gentle TikTok traveler who had befriended her daughter in a women's shelter had a past that had been hiding in plain sight. In the mid-1980s, José Jurado Montilla had been convicted of taking 4 lives in the Malaga region of Spain. He had been sentenced to 123 years, but he only served 28. In 2013, a ruling by the European Court of Human Rights overturned what was known as Spain's Paros Doctrine, a legal framework that had kept dangerous offenders locked up for longer. The ruling declared it violated prisoners' rights. Dozens of convicted individuals walked free. Montilla was one of them. After his release, he reinvented himself. He built a TikTok persona. He walked across Spain with a camera and a gentle voice. He publicly maintained his innocence. He told stories about resilience and the beauty of the open road. And no one around him, including the woman he met at a shelter for abuse survivors, had any reason to know who he really was. But while investigators looked into Esther's case, another thread surfaced. In August 2022, a year before Esther vanished, a 21-year-old university student had lost his life on a family farm in Malaga. Before it happened, the young man had told his father about meeting an older man who wanted to go fox hunting. The detail matched a pattern from Montilla's past. When authorities recovered DNA evidence from the student's belongings, it led them directly to Montilla. In May 2024, police tracked him to a bar near the Portuguese border. He was arrested. And once they had his phone, the investigation into Esther's disappearance cracked wide open. Investigators discovered that the final messages sent from Esther's phone had gone through Montilla's mobile hotspot. Hospital staff in Gandia confirmed that a man matching his description had brought Esther in, and that she had seemed reluctant to leave with him. His phone allegedly contained images that pointed to what had happened. 9 months after she vanished, hikers near a secluded spot along a highway in Gandia discovered Esther's remains. Montilla is currently in custody, charged in connection with Esther's case and the students. He denies involvement in both. He has not yet stood trial. But this story was never really about one man's TikTok account. It was about something quieter and more unsettling. Esther had done the hardest thing a person in an abusive relationship can do. She left. She sought safety. She walked into a system designed to protect her. And that system, through no fault of its own, became the place where the next threat was waiting. Not because the shelter failed her, but because predators understand vulnerability better than most of us ever will. They know where to find people whose defenses are already worn down. People who have been trained by experience to override their own instincts. People who are looking for proof that not everyone is dangerous. A man with a gentle voice and a camera and a few thousand followers can look exactly like that proof. That's the red thread here, not the TikTok videos, not the legal ruling that set him free. The thread is thinner than that. It's the fact that Esther's instincts had already been quieted by the relationship she survived. The fact that a shelter lobby felt like a safe place to trust a stranger. The fact that a man who had spent 28 years behind walls understood exactly how to present himself as someone who never would. Most people saw a travel creator, a wanderer, a philosopher of the open road. But the details told a different story. A story of someone who knew where the most vulnerable people gather and how to speak their language. That's what we do here. We follow the red threads. One case at a time. One story at a time. If that's something you want to be a part of, subscribe to the Red Threads. The next story is already waiting.